Hello, good evening, good morning sa mga nakikinig dyan. We're going to have a new topic. So, intro muna tayo. Okay, simulan ang topic natin sa Understanding Electric Forces and Fields, Part 1. Okay, ang coverage nito is for General Physics 2, third quarter, Senior High School Science. And of course, uh, ang objective is what you should be able to do after viewing this video. Ma-describe ninyo ang electric field as a region in which electric charge experiences a force. Relate the electric field and electric force on a test charge. And draw electric field lines of particular charge and charge distribution. And the fourth, calculate the electric field due to a system of point charges using Coulomb's law and the superposition principle. Yung naka-color na yellow is for part 2. Well, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Lao Tzu, let's begin. First is, what is a field? Rice field? Kung ano namang field na iisip nyo. Field of endeavor. So, yung mga word na ginagamit yung field, what does it mean? In a physical sense, it's a region of space. Okay? And since we know about fields, what about gravitational field? Ano yung understanding natin dyan? Is a region of space where gravity exists. And how do we know that there is gravity around you in a room where you are in? There are many ways. Of course, you already know that you can feel your own weight. And you tend to fall back when you jump. So whenever I jump, for example, you go back. And that's because your weight brings you down. And because weight is a force of gravity. Okay, so you're going to look at it this way now. So it's a region in which a body of mass m experiences gravitational force. So that's how you describe the concept of region when it comes to gravitational force. Using the same idea, so we have a region in which a body charge q prime, which we label that q prime lang, experiences an electrical force F. Okay. So anyway, pareho lang din sila. Okay, first let's compare. Ano ba yung gravity? Okay, gravity, we all know, attractive lang siya. It only pulls. Hindi siya nagpo-push. It affects objects na merong mass. So, the heavier the mass, the greater the force in that case. And ang effect ng gravitation is local, means sa immediate surrounding niya. And universal means on a large scale. Gravity works from Earth, the Sun. And the Sun and the entire solar system is attracted to the center of the galaxy. The galaxies themselves are attracted to each other. So it's a very universal law. It's a very universal force. Electrical naman, it has two things. There's an attractive electrical force and there's a repulsive electrical force. And it affects only objects with charges. To be specific, as I've said before, net charges. Its effect is local also, meaning the charges tend to affect the things that are around it. But the effect of the electrical, by definition, is also universal. Ang gravitation, ang universality niya is constructive. Meaning, if you have several masses around you, they tend to just group together to form a greater mass, which will, of course, produce a greater gravitation. And however, even though universal ang gravitation, it is generally a weak force. That's the reason why pwede kang mag-jump. Why? Because yung gravity pulls you down, but your muscles are strong enough to oppose it. Electrical naman, on the other hand, is destructively impacted by nearby charges. So if you have a positive charge, its effect actually is usually cancelled by another positive charge. Or its effect is actually magnified by another negative charge, which on the other hand, by the concept, by the idea of the law of conservation of charges, na whenever you have a positive charge, there'll always be a negative charge. A good example is the nucleus of the atom. Meron siyang mga positive charges. And the only thing that's holding them together is a stronger force. However, that force is not that strong enough to have an effect on a larger scale. So, ang electrical generally is not as universal as gravitation. Meaning, ang sun, for example, kung may net charge siya, which it has some charges, it is not affected by a distant star na meron ding charges. And although it is a universal force, it's a very, very strong force. It's the second strongest after the nuclear force. Okay, let's say you have an object, okay, and another nearby object. We call this test mass. Ano yung effect ng placing the test mass around that object? If you look at this on a gravitational sense, that test mass, siya ang magiging basis ng direction ng field around this object O. So this one, your test mass, is attracted to the object. That's why all of the direction ng field lines niya papunta sa object. Now, which this mass, test mass, is attracted to. Of course, we all know that the formula for that one is written as gmm prime over r squared times the vector radius. Now, it is written usually as negative g. If you're wondering bakit negative siya, if you check sa mga textbooks, negative ang pagkakasulat because it is attractive. In the same way that a positive charge and a negative charge are attracted, ang product ng positive and negative is a negative. Ganon din sa masses. Kaya lang, hindi siya because positive and negative ang masses. It's only assigned negative to tell you that the force is attractive. Now, the gravitational field is defined as the amount of force in which an object of mass of m prime, which in that case, ang ratio niyan is called the gravitational field. Now, if you notice, the symbol is G, small g, and of course, you all know that the small g also means acceleration due to gravity. Now, acceleration due to gravity is the force field. If you have a positive charge, then you place another positive charge. This charge naman is another test charge. So, this test charge, ano yung reaction ng test charge na yan dito, will determine the direction of the field forces or lines of force around this object. And we all know that it is repulsive. That's why palabas ang arrow niya. So, ang nagde-define ng direction ng electric field ng any charges is the test charge, which is always positive. That's why we have a positive charge and another positive test charge. This one determines the direction of the field forces, which is outward. And the formula for that will be positive. As I have shown, this is already Coulomb's law with a slight variation na naginawa ng positive. And the electric field for that one is the electric field force divided by this test charge. Not this one, ito. Now, the idea also goes through if you look at this one, no? If you have another test charge, which as I've said, is always positive, ano ang direction ng field around a negative charge? Of course, this one, papuntang negative charge or going into the negative charge. And of course, the formula now is now written as negative. Now, bakit negative? Is because it is attractive. In the same way sa gravitation. But this one is due to the charges themselves. So, negative ang isa, positive ang isa. So, their product is negative. And consequently, yung electric field niyan is written as a negative of the force experienced by this test charge divided by the test charge itself. Now, due to that, the concept of lines of force can also explain why attraction happens. So, we have two charges, one positive, one negative. We all know attraction yan. Now, ang understanding natin, nag-attract lang sila kasi as it was already defined that way. However, if you use the lines of force, that will give you a clearer picture. Notice that the reason why these are attracted because the electric field of a positive charge is outward and the electric field of a negative charge is inward. They complement. Nagko-connect yung field lines na, which also explains why there's an attraction. Same thing also goes through kung ang ginamit mo is repulsion. We have one positive charge, another positive charge, as an example. Okay, the reason why repulsion happens because they do not connect. Lahat kasi palabas ang direction ng lines of force. Which is, in a way, kung idea mong isipin, parang nagbabanggaan sila. No? So, they tend to avoid each other. So, they repel. So, if you look at this one, just a review, no? Electric field equation then is just written simply as the electric field is just the force experienced by this test charge divided by the magnitude of that test charge. Now, notice that there is an arrow on top, meaning they are both vectors. It's a generic equation. Okay? Electric force and a test charge placed near that. Question is, sir, since ang definition ng field is a region of space in which gravitation or electrical force exists on a test charge or a test mass, asan yung region sa definition? Di ba wala? E is equal to F over Q prime. So, walang area doon. Well, another way to define electric field is this one. Okay. This one is an electric flux. A topic that will be discussed after this, after the next video. And then, this one is the surface area of a volume enclosing a charge. So, meron kang charge, imagine mo, merong volume na nag-occupy that, yung surface area nun. Now, magtataka ka bakit yun, ano yung connection nun? Well, it's because that's another way of defining electric field. And in fact, any field for that matter. There's always what you call a flux. You can also apply this sa gravity. Okay, for that, we're going to end our topic. This one, I just told you yung concept of electric field and how it determines the reason for attraction and repulsion and so on. So, that's the end of our topic for today. We'll continue on calculations naman next time. Okay? Goodbye for now.